Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm going to talk to you today about actionable empathy and what we've learned at Kmart with this approach. And it's not really a step-by-step guide, more of a few insights that we've gathered from the things that we've tried. These might or might not work for you. Every organisation is different, but I thought I'd share and hopefully will be of interest to you. So a bit about myself. So I moved to Melbourne, Australia 11 years ago, and before that I was working in Europe for a few telcos like Orange and T-Mobile and Vodafone, also in fintech world, working in customer experience, and then headed over to Melbourne, worked at Sportsbet, which is really interesting place, and built a great culture of being customer centric there before heading over to Kmart 5 years ago. So I've been at Kmart almost 5 years, and I think the thing about Kmart and some of the other roles particularly enjoyed is it's not only about building teams, so a team of research and design and various other roles, but it's also building that culture, because just putting in resources into an organisation is not a surefire way of having success. You have to build the culture that supports those individuals in the organisation, but also the team. So yeah, that they are customer centric, and I think that's the biggest duty of a customer experience person, is to build a culture of customer centricity in what we do. And then when I'm not working, you'll find me in the shed at the end of the garden. I'm an avid ceramicist, pottery person, and you find me playing with mud and throwing shapes on the pottery wheel. And I think it's a really interesting activity, because you speak to potters who have been working for 40 years and they're still honing their craft and working on different styles, different shapes, and it's never done. It's always something. Every pot is different and can always be working and changing. So yeah, I find that a great use of my time, and particularly during lockdown, it's been really nice to be able to still carry that out in the shed at the bottom of the garden. So, actionable empathy. What is actionable empathy? Of course, you all know what empathy is. I'm sure you talk about this every day in your own roles. So, yeah, seeing the world from our customer's perspective. The actionable part of it is then delivering value based on that understanding of our customers' perspectives. So it's one thing to see the world through a customer's point of view, but a very different thing to be then delivering solutions to those customer problems or catering for those customer needs. And obviously vitally important for anyone who works in a business who wants to continuously be improving that service to customers and obviously making money. And it's particularly important for customer experience people to be looking at empathy and seeing what we can foster within the organisation there, because it ensures alignment and means that people aren't kind of all going off in different directions. And if we all centre around the customer, then we're likely to be aligned in our approaches and our objectives. And it also is a high likelihood of success of anything we do. If we're understanding those customer needs, then what we provide them is likely to resonate with them, make them open up their wallets and come back repeatedly to our organisation. If we don't understand our customers, how can we serve them? So yeah, it's a high likelihood of success for any project. So how do we build actionable empathy? Now, there are many things that we do to try and improve the empathy that everyone can have with our customers. So I'll run through 2 key areas today, but these is by no means a complete list. So one of the things is to get more people in front of customers. It's very hard to empathize when you're hearing information second, third hand, or you're seeing a line graph of ages of customers and social economic backgrounds. It's quite a hard thing to build empathy that way, but it's much easier when you're actually in front of customers and hearing what they're telling you, or seeing how they're reacting to things. And the other aspect that we focus on is getting customer data and insights in front of people, so our team members. You can't be in front of every customer. You can't have an in-depth conversation with the 3 million customers who shopped with us online this month, and it's a real challenge. So you have to have that data to put in front of people, and that helps build that empathy not only for the people they're spoken to, but then see how that translates to all the customers that we have. So on the first topic, how do we get more people in front of customers? It seems like an easy thing. We have tons of customers. Surely it's easy to put people in front of them. Well, it is and it isn't. And where we were when I first joined was that it would be researchers who would go in front of customers, and then they would tell everyone about what they had found. And it created that barrier to people kind of really get under the skin of customers. As I said, hearing something second or third hand is not the same as it is being actually in front of customers. The other thing that we were seeing when I joined was that there's lots of questions around validity, and I'm sure many of you would have seen this or even have the questions yourself. It's very easy to tear down a piece of research because every piece of research has its pros and its cons. And what we wanted to go away from was being heavily focused on, is this valid research, to these are customers telling us things, let's listen to them and understand what might be driving that, and we'll do the work to get the rigor to the right level, but let's just listen to the customers rather than focusing on is this research of value or not. So how do we do it? So one important thing of getting more people in front of customers is giving them the tools, and there are lots of different tools out there, and one of the key aspects when we're looking at tools to be using for online research is, do we have seats for everyone who would want to have seats or needs to have seats? There are lots of tools where it's inordinately expensive to add seats, and it's been great to see that lots of organisations have been changing that. UserTesting.com is a great example. SurveyKate is a tool we use for online surveys, and we have unlimited numbers of seats with that tool because they want people to use it, which is fantastic. So ensuring that we have seats, support, so we can give people tools, but without the right level of support, the rigor will be poor, and we'll be in that old situation of people not believing the research. So supporting individuals, and it's not just about rigor, but it's also ensuring that people are comfortable. There's a lot of people who have never had a formal conversation with a customer. How do we support them to do that so that they're more likely to do it more frequently. Here's a photo of one of our old researcher, Lucy, having a coaching session with a couple of designers. This was obviously pre-COVID days, when they were going to, I think, the Richmond store to have formal conversations with customers around their project. And finally, also making sure that it's easy. There's lots of tools out there that have fantastic features, and there's techniques where you can have a lot of depth, but they become really complicated. So if you want to have more people in front of customers, you have to make sure that it is easy for them. And UserTesting.com is a great example of a tool which there are others, but it's particularly easy, and that's a key factor in when deciding which tools that we're going to get for the team is how easy are they for anyone who might want to use them, not just for how easy or how advanced are they for research. So what have we learnt? We made quite a few mistakes along the way, and here are 3 key ones. So one of them is that before we put in our level of support and coaching that we currently have, we were seeing a lot of leading questions and other key research mistakes. So with A/B testing, the hypothesis might be wrong, or the analysis could be a bit more thorough than it was. And the other thing we saw was that I assumed that everyone would have a certain level of knowledge on research, because it's a natural thing. We've all spent time in university or training courses or read blogs and all that kind of stuff, and we kind of assume that everyone has knowledge of key concepts, but it's not necessarily the case. So for example, with A/B testing, making sure that everyone understands significance and why that's important. Similarly, for surveys, understanding when you go, what a sample size might be and how that can impact validity of the findings depending on what the answers are. So there's lots of those kind of key concepts that I'd assume that people had, but not everyone does. Luckily, a lot of people do, and that's great, but not everybody does. I think the other thing that was a key kind of learning was when we had more people start to run their own research, or when we're supporting them to run research, was that they weren't necessarily sharing it with others. And as I'm sure any research manager on this call will know, that the more mileage you can get from every research dollar spent, the better, because there are always budgets and we want to show value, and just one team learning from being in front of customers is fantastic. It really helps their project, but if we can get that information out into more people's minds, then that has even more value and ensures that more research is done in the future as well. So we had these pockets of great bits of research happening, people getting in front of customers, but they weren't necessarily sharing that more broadly, because they were just finding out for themselves, and they're not looking at the rest of the department and what they might need. The things that went well, so coaching and training. So as said, we started with that in mind, and made probably a bit of a slow start to it, but definitely have ramped up. And whether it's one-to-one training with designers who want to run research and talk to customers, or lunch and learns where we run through key concepts with anyone who wants to turn up. That's been really successful and helped people with not only running research and getting in front of customers and building that empathy themselves, but also with the rigor and the confidence as well. And so that's been great, removing those barriers, and so that people don't have a reason not to do research. And what I saw early on was there was always something in the way. So it could be the time it takes to create a prototype, or how hard it was to go and get into store and talk to customers, or how do I agree it with the store manager. So with all of those barriers that came up, we looked at how do we remove that barrier. So if you don't have time for a prototype, well, there's probably another site that's done what you're doing. So use that and put that in front of customers and get their feedback on a competitor. It's not just on your prototype. Or if it's it's hard to get to a store, well, remote testing like UserTesting.com or other methods are out there that we can make that easy and quick. And always looking for what those things that people are saying is blocking them, finding ways around them. The other thing that went particularly, or is going well, is continually evolving and growing our toolbox of research methods. So if there's a different problem that's coming up, we like to have a tool that will to aid in getting in front of customers to better understand that problem. And this might be surveys, or it might be user testing, diary studies, or most recently the team have been running accessibility user testing with disabled customers, working out how that can be a tool in our toolbox that anyone can use. Now, in that case, because there's certain things to think about. It will be a researcher who buddies up with designers or developers, and they run it as a group. But we found out how to do that, and then now have it as a part of our toolbox, so that anyone who wants to empathize with customers who have accessibility issues, then they can. And there's a tool that enables us to do that, or other tools for things like tree testing and like. We over time we've built up that toolbox, and often are able to make it easier, so that lots of different people can use that tool to get in front of customers, not just a specialist researcher. So they're the things that have been going particularly well, and we can see that it's had quite a lot of impact. I think particularly pleasing to see whenever we go to a showcase of what our development team have been working on. The developers are talking about our customers, and they're talking about their features and how they fit into our customers' lives, and they'll tell those customer stories. So I think that's a great indication that it's not just researchers who talk to customers. It's anyone from a designer to a developer who can talk and have empathy for those customers, and then show that in action. So here's the customer's life, and here is the action that we have taken to improve that. Okay. How are we going for time? Okay, 10 minutes left. So the second part I want to talk about is getting more data in front of our people, our team members, and why that's important, and how we're going out about approaching it. So we wanted to go from, I'm sure this is familiar to a lot of people, is that customer data, research insights, all those things, were only for a special few people who are allowed access. So you have to be, a certain seniority or above to go into this research presentation, or to have regular access to certain data sources about our customers. That was very much the case a few years ago. And I think leading on from that, there's also this situation where if you weren't in the room or in the organization at the time, well, tough, you'll never know. So yeah, if there was a big piece of research that reported back last week and you've joined this week, tough. People might mention it maybe, but good luck. If you ever want to have access to that information so you can use it to do your job. So yeah, that was the other area we wanted to go away from. It was, new people didn't have access to that legacy information. So how do we do this? Well, there's lots of different things that we've tried in this area. Sharing online has been particularly important, and so, for example, we use Capiche as our dashboarding for customer sentiment and NPS, other customer feedback data, and making sure that we have access for all our team members to be able to go in and understand what our customers are telling us on any particular day, any particular store, or online interaction. It's been important, as well as things like videos hosted online. So UserTesting is particularly good at those summary videos, and any other kind of way that we can share data online just makes it easy to access. Having open walkthroughs. So again, when we were in the office pre-COVID days, these were fairly straightforward for us to set up. So yeah, we would walk everyone through the findings and trends of data in person, because then people could ask questions and all that kind of stuff, and we've continued this online since then as well. But yeah, it's vitally important not only to share information, but to give people the opportunity to ask questions and have answers around that. I think the other bit that we focused on is how we open up requests. So it isn't a special for you who can ask for research to be carried out, and we opened up requests so that anyone can. So we've got an example here of a standard request form, and anyone in the organisation can fill that in and request research. Now, that research might be very lightweight. In fact, often the research requests that we get from around the department are fairly lightweight and in fact easy for us to answer, or to kind of help that individual answer themselves by getting in front of customers. But yeah, that's been particularly important because not only does it mean that more people are getting information about customers, but it also means that they are more likely to look for information from customers as well. Now, what mistakes do we make along the way? Well, one of them, I think, goes against the kind of norms, which is a central repository. So research hub just didn't work for us. Tried a few different things, but people just don't click through to links. So being wherever our team members are is really important. So yeah, we now have all our research in many places, not just in a central repository. We also weren't particularly flexible. We had a way of doing things. We have standard reports, and they were what we shared. So in recent years, we looked for more flexibility, so people can dig into data themselves, be able to rather than just the NPS score, being able to dig underneath that of what are the key things that different customer groups are asking for, and being able to cut that data in different ways themselves. I think the other thing we learned from is not giving. We gave access, we didn't give context. So here's the NPS information from all the feedback from our customers, but not giving the context of how to use that data, or here's some videos from our customers talking about a certain feature, but not giving the context of here is the full piece of research and where that kind of fits in to that piece. So making sure that people had the context was particularly important. We didn't do that when we started. The things that have worked particularly well, anyone can make the request, as I spoke about earlier, and lots of people do. There's a hardcore of people who ask a lot of things, and we want to spread that out so that more people are regularly asking questions as well. Trying different report formats. So we have obviously standard reports. We also have 3-minute summary videos for some areas, and run quizzes, infographics, all those kind of things. Different ways to get information to people, because not everyone takes in information in the same way. Lastly, make sure that everyone has access who wants to. So it's not everyone by default has access, because we found when we did that that people just didn't follow through. But if people ask for access for data, then we provide it, and we find that there's a much greater take up when people ask for data than when we just give it to them. So what have been the key learnings from all of this? Well, I think one of the most important ones is that people need support. You can't just give access to our customers, to the data that our customers are giving us, without support. That's important for rigor, which ensures that people believe what's coming out, but it also supports those team members to be more confident as well. And confidence is particularly important when you need to talk to customers or to interrogate data to build up that empathy. Always trying, reflecting, and iterating. So we are doing very different things to what we've done before. We've tried lots of different ways. Great example being, I thought it would be really good to have RFID posters around the office, so that anyone could scan and access research at any point. And the feedback from that was great, but what actually we saw was no one used it. We abandoned that and we've used other methods. Always be trying and iterating. Last but not least, I think you're never done, and this is particularly true not only because our customers are forever changing, but also the people in your organization are forever changing. There's always new people, there's always new projects and structures and all those kind of things. So it's always that we're, again, iterating, learning, moving forward, but we know we'll never be done. Building empathy for our customers and then being able to action that empathy is an ever-changing thing, which makes it it's a really exciting place to be. And to bring this back to the world of pottery, here's a pot which one of my first few pots. You can see like the sag in it. It wasn't great, and here's one from a few months ago, which you see obviously lots evolved in that time. I can see 100 mistakes in the most recent pot, so it's always evolving, and there's always more to be done, no matter how great your work is. So I want to thank you for your time today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Have a great day, everyone.